I'm pleased to introduce Dr. Freeman Hrabowski, President of the University of Maryland, Baltimore County since 1992. His research and publications focus on science and math education with special emphasis on minority participation and performance. He chaired the National Academic Committee that produced the recent reports Expanding Underrepresented Minority Participation, America's Science and Technology Talent at the Crossroads. He also was recently named by President Obama to chair the newly created President's Advisory Commission on Educational Excellence for African Americans. His many accolades include being named one of the 100 most influential people in 2012 and one of the 10 best college presidents in 2009 by Time magazine. He is a 2001 Montgomery College honorary degree recipient. Please welcome Dr. Hrabowski.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Good afternoon. Good afternoon again. I was asking some students this question. How many of you consider yourselves smart? How many of you would be willing to get up here right now and tell me what smart means? Suppose I said that anybody who could get up and impress the whole audience with what smart means, I'll give $1,000 to. How many of you would be willing to do it? Some of y'all are not entrepreneurial. Some are still not raising your hands. One of the most important lessons in neuroscience that we in education have not taken advantage of is the finding that people can only concentrate, even adults, for about 20 minutes. After about 20 minutes, you might be looking at me as I'm talking, but you really aren't listening to what I'm saying. You're thinking about dinner later on, or your date you got, or when would he be finished. You can be looking like you're really interested. You're not interested. I know that. So I want you to give me a hand for brevity. I'm going to talk 10 minutes. You hold me to it. Give me a hand for 10 minutes. You got it? See what I mean? So here's my first point. And I think I left my phone in your office. I must have. I was going to show you my phone, and I was going to tell you, imagine a time when I could look with my phone at each of you and click on 3 or 4 of you, and in a matter of 10 seconds know everything possible to know about you. And then imagine, which you can really do now almost, right? Just in terms of face recognition, you get to the name, then you can go to your Facebook page, you can get all, and most people put too much information out there, right? And they wish 5 years later they hadn't said as much as they said, the way they said it, right? And then imagine if somehow I would be able to take that phone and put it in my glasses. And so I could just push and look at you and know everything about you and have something tell me immediately who you are, all about you, in a matter of 15 seconds. I would argue and tell you that time is now. That right now researchers on my campus and other places are looking, and have been for years, at ways of wearing technology that will make us smarter. That I can take you to campus at UMBC, where we got students from 150 countries, about half the students in science, engineering, half in arts, humanities, social sciences, a lot of people going overseas to do work, undergrad and grad in India and disruptive technologies, in Africa and clean water projects. And yet I can tell you that I could take you into a room, and if you've got a credit card in your purse or in your wallet, I can take you into a room on campus, and in a matter of 30 seconds, the room would talk to you as if it's your best friend. It knows all about you. It knows where you bought your last cup of coffee. It knows the last time you went on a date. It even knows when you bounced a check. And it will talk to you as if it knows you completely. Why am I telling you that? The world is changing dramatically. How many of you remember when phones had cords connected to the wall. Some of you do, others are saying, what? You mean that was a phone connected to the wall? How many of you remember, watch this, when your house got its first television? Some parents and family members, a few people, right? Most of you say, what do you mean, didn't houses always have TVs? No. How many remember when your house got its first color television? Some of you are saying, wasn't TV always in color? No, all right. What about first computer? How many of you remember when you got your first PC or your first iPhone or BlackBerry, right? When I was in college years and years ago, the man said people will walk around and they will have phones that they carry around with them. And I got up because I thought I was so smart, and I said, I can prove that's not true. And for the math majors in the room, I started this maximization, minimization problem, talking about the largest numbers of phones people could have when the cords wouldn't get so confused you couldn't move along. I couldn't imagine a time when you'd have wireless computing or wireless phones. What is my point? The world is changing more than you realize. Kurzweil, an MIT professor who focuses on the future, and I've had students in his lab, will tell you that by the year 2019, we'll have these automated personalities all around us, and they won't want us to call them robots because that would offend their sensibilities. Did you hear me? That you don't want to offend them because they have certain rights, and therefore you'll call them automated personalities, and they'll be serving as your assistants. There'll be people in classrooms, there'll be people in your homes, and that's just a few years ago. Just 10 years ago, I got up in front of an audience and said, the time will come very soon when you will have to comb your hair before you answer your phone. And everybody laughed, and yet, how many of you have FaceTime now? Right? Right? And so what am I saying? The world is changing dramatically. What makes you so special is that you're learning how to think critically. You're learning how to make sure the technology does not rule you. And so the 3 points I want to make very quickly. Number one, curiosity will always be important. In fact, Rabi, a Nobel laureate, said that when he was growing up in New York, all of his friends' parents would ask them at the end of the day, what you learn in school? He said, but not my Jewish mother. My Jewish mother said, Izzy, did you ask a good question today? And that's my first lesson. Learn to ask good questions. Number two, never stop learning. You're just smart enough to know there's a lot more to know. Samuel Beckett, who's a muse on my campus. We do a lot of dark theater on my campus, depressing stuff, stuff that upsets you. Good stuff, good stuff. And Beckett has this book in which the character studies the dancing of bees. I talk about this all the time. When bees are dancing, they're actually communicating with each other. And he said this, here is something, this dancing of bees, that I could study all my life and never understand. And he was excited because the more he began to understand how the bees communicated, the more he realized there was so much more to know. And there is the essence of education. You should just be smart enough right now to know, wow, I've got so much more to know. So the idea of continuing to learn is really important. And my final point to you today, you know, 50 years ago, I had the privilege of being a child leader in the civil rights movement with Dr. King. I was 12. And I never could have imagined that one day I'd be president of an international university where kids are really smart. Students at UMBC like being smart. What does smart mean? It means loving ideas. It means liking to talk with each other about what the future might hold. It means going across disciplines, and my history majors talking to my biochemistry majors, and my chemical engineering majors talking to my computer science majors, and figuring out ways of solving problems and healing and curing diseases and working with children to learn how to read. Smart means willing to give of oneself and one's brain power to help other people. And that's what you are. That's who you are. You should never be ashamed to admit that you're smart. In America, too often, if you play basketball, yeah. But what does American Idol mean in this country? It's about entertainment. But give yourselves a hand for being smart. You've got to feel good about being smart. Yeah, it's important. That's what we do on our campus, and that's why I'm at Montgomery County, because I know you've got great students here. You want to have passion for the learning. You want to say, I can never get enough of this. I want to keep working hard. Whether I'm 50 years old or 15 or 18, whatever I am, I want to just keep working. And my final point is I learned as a child, sitting in jail in that civil rights movement, that even children know the difference between right and wrong. You know everything you need to know, whether you're 17 or 45, what you need to know to succeed. You already know. Hard work, respect for authority, being able to work with other people, never, never, never giving up. But this is what my grandmother, who had a 6th grade education, taught me. She said, boy, you're gonna do well in life for 2 reasons. Number one, you can read people. Always learn to figure out who's real and who's phony. Always work to be around people who will elevate you and not push you down. Read people and get around people who can support you. She said, but also, as you go up the ladder, you're going to find that people will work to knock you down. You know some of those people, don't you? You do well, and they want to make you feel bad. There are 2 kinds of people in the world, folks, people who elevate you and people who will depress you. There are some people who are going to talk about you regardless, right? Stay away from the negativity, move towards the positive. She said, but if you're on your knees, because of the grace of God, just ask for forgiveness when you make a mistake. But most important, when people knock you down, if you're on your knees, you won't fall too far. Humility, there's nothing like being humble. You can be smart and humble at the same time. I close with words from Aristotle, who said, excellence is never an accident. Excellence is never an accident. It is a result of high intention, sincere effort, and intelligent execution. It represents the best option among many alternatives. And finally, he said this. If you don't remember anything else I said today, he said this: choice, not chance, determines your destiny. Choice, not chance, determines your destiny. What do you choose? Congratulations to all of you, and thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.